Hey everybody, I'm Koa.
I'm True.
And this is the Crew Movie Review. Alright, so full disclosure. I do not like scary movies. If you haven't watched any of our other videos, I've mentioned this before, but I'll mention it again. Don't like scary movies. That being said, we watched it.
I love scary movies. It's one of my favorite genres, but I don't like blood and gore. I mean, it's okay if it's paranormal stuff, which I like. Right. It falls under that category.
Paranormal. Did I like it or not? Yeah, I actually did. I actually liked it, even though...
It's not the typical genre that you like.
Yeah.
But I loved it, obviously, because, it's something that it's right up my alley. I love Stephen King. I pretty much read all of Stephen King's books. So and I love his short stories. Those are my favorite.
So what is it?
From what I remember of the entity It from the books, from the book, I read it a long time ago, but I believe it's like almost like an alien entity. But in the movie, it pretty much stuck to the book, I think. But there was a touch of paranormal aspect to it. Mm. It is an entity of fear, basically, a manifestation of fear. But I'm not exactly sure how the science part comes into it, because Stephen King really didn't really go into it. He has a whole he has a whole dark universe that he has going on across some of his books. Like there's always this Stephen King buffs can explain this better, but there's always this force that's kind of runs across all his books, and it's basically the same force, the same evil force that is in each of the evil entities.
Where all this evilness is coming from.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Right, but he's not a science
like in the
guy,
Dark
so
Tower, the entity, it's the same force as in the Dark Tower as it, and the kind of thing. It's kind of all related, but yeah.
I didn't really follow Stephen King. Again, I don't like scary stuff.
I mean, I don't follow him, but I read a lot of all his books.
But since I don't like scary stuff, I didn't read the books. I don't really watch any of the movies. So I never watched the first movie either. And there were parts that tied into the original movie, like little cut scenes. So they are the original actors as the kids, and they kind of cut back to when they were kids, and they show little scenes that were part of that story, but not necessarily in the movie. So it's not like they took footage from the original movie and spliced into this one. It's all new footage and stuff that they did for this movie. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Right.
And it was easy to follow, even though I didn't watch the first movie. There wasn't anything where I was going, well, why did they do this? Why did they say this? With no problems whatsoever.
Yeah. While I was watching the movie, with all the flashback scenes and, the going back and forth, the two timelines, I was thinking, oh, he's going to be confused because he never saw the first movie or know anything about it, but he really liked it.
Yeah.
He followed it just fine, he still got a good enjoyment out of it. So that's
there really wasn't any confusion there, so.
Yeah. And, in terms of, how bloody it is or how gory it is, what do you think about that?
There were some scenes that I want to say they were like flashes. They weren't it wasn't like really, there were some spots in there where there were blood, but it was like, it was in one scene, okay, he goes to attack this kid, and then there's just blood that covers up the whole thing. So you can't really, they don't really show necessarily anything. They don't show guts or anything like that. They just kind of
spoiler alert!
They can just, he's an evil clown. That's not a spoiler alert. He's an evil clown who attacks kids. And so there's just blood, and then you don't see nothing. Or that he goes to attack, and they cut to another scene. You assume that, okay, he ate the kid or whatever, but they don't show necessarily anything. So I didn't see there wasn't a lot of gore aspect to it. So it was very mild, I think, in some movies that I have seen where there was just guts everywhere and
I think it was tastefully done.
Yeah.
It still was. It is more of a psychological thriller more than slash and gory
Rob
type
Zombie
of
type of movie.
Yeah, which I like. I don't like human on human pain. there were a lot of surprises for me in terms of like, you know, you think that oh this is gonna happen, nope, but something else happens, that kind of thing, you know. It was definitely scary, but I could still watch this movie without him at a later date. I would have no problem with it.
You watch it in the dark all by yourself?
Well, I don't know about in the dark, but you know, it's something that I loved it that much that I would watch it over and over again. So.
Yeah, nah, I won't watch it, but I won't watch it a second time. But I would recommend watching it if you are a horror buff. You know, if you like this kind of movies, it's definitely a good movie. If you don't like horror movies, it's not that bad. It's not that scary. There are some scenes that kind of jump out at you. You're like, oh, whoa, and then but that's typical of a lot of scary movies where you know the bad guy is like pops out of nowhere and all of a sudden you're being attacked or something like that. It kind of makes you jump a little bit. But yeah, so I mean, it was really good. It was actually really good. I liked it. So I would give it a 7. 7.
I give it a 9 just because it's it's right up my alley. I really liked it. The flow of the movie was really good, even though all these cutscenes in between didn't have any effect on it. I mean, the cutscenes made you understand the characters a lot better than the first movie. I liked it way better than the first movie. The first movie was kind of a disappointment for me. It was like, it was okay,
right.
Okay, whatever. But this movie, I felt like it was, it delved into each character a lot more. Even the funny guy, is that it delved into these characters a lot more and into their psyches a lot more. And it being the manifestation of fear, how it has a very good message, how we need to conquer our own fears, and it's something that I struggle with on a daily basis. It's something that everybody can relate to, and even though it has a scientific nature of this entity, it still comes down to conquer on your own fears to defeat it.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of being a Harry Potter buff. It is like a boggart. He appears to you as whatever you fear the most. But in this sense, it's not really that he appears to people as a clown, but he still shows people things that they're afraid of and manifests things
specific
that they're
to them.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But anyway, so spoiler alert to kind of get coming up here. So we're gonna kind of delve into some of the things I didn't like, and that'll probably ruin some scenes. But so here we go. I did not like. I thought it was kind of. It didn't make much sense to me because it is actually he's not really the clown itself is not physically a being necessarily. Mm-hmm. It is just a projection of these 3 little balls that kind of spin around each other. And it just is like they're trying to attack the clown, but at the same time it's just like, why are you attacking the clown? Because the clown's not really there. It's the 3 little balls that are behind the clown that you never really see until like he opens up his mouth or really wide, or when they're staring at him when he's trying to project his evilness into your mind and screw with your head. You've got these 3 little balls that are floating behind him that they reveal themselves, and that's really what the entity is. It's these 3 little balls, and they keep focusing on the clown towards the end. I thought that was kind of weird.
I can explain that. It's because they need something to focus on. The characters need something to focus on, and the whole point of the method of defeating it is to defeat fear, their own fear. So by having something to focus for them to focus on, it allows them to project their emotions towards it, and those courage, the courageous emotions, that's what defeats it. So it doesn't matter if you're defeating, if you're trying to kill the 3 the lights, the source of it. It's the unison of the unison projection of the courage is what kills it. So it doesn't matter if they're projecting to this or that. It's basically
right. I guess that makes sense. But at the time I was watching, I was just like, that doesn't really make much sense. But anyway, but overall I did like the movie. So it was really good. That was my only gripe about it. There really wasn't any of the. I mean, there is the stereotypical thing of a story of scary stories is where you have to overcome your fear in order to defeat the monster and that kind of thing.
But it was a different take on it.
There's that progression that normally happens in a lot of stories, but that's not really a gripe. That's just how they write stories.
I mean, I love Stephen King's short stories because they're succinct and they, are scary and, it's great. He does great concepts, but he does really bad endings. And I was really afraid that this movie was going to reflect that because all of his adaptations of Stephen King movies, except for maybe The Shining, the ending always sucked. And, because it always falls flat because it's almost as if Stephen King writes his books like, it really gets you into it. But then at the end, he builds up, but then he doesn't know how to end it. So he just like, here's any this or that. I felt like a lot of his books were like that. I feel like later on the later books maybe it's kind of stepped away from that. Now he's getting better at like how to end things. Not just like like.
But there was none of that in this movie. They actually ended it pretty well.
It was well done. Yeah. There was a good conclusion at the end.
So in conclusion, I think it was a good movie. Definitely, I'm pretty sure we're both on the same boat here. Is definitely go watch this movie.
Yes.
It was definitely
I'd watch it again.
All right. Well, thank you guys, and you guys have a good night. And that'll conclude the crew review. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.
And watch out for our reviews on these movies next week.